This day in African American baseball history. Today is the January 12th, 2026 edition of this ongoing topic that talks about baseball. We love baseball here, and hopefully you do too. And that's the reason why you're joining us and staying with us. So we just like to say, if you've never followed this broadcast before, feel free to add a question, intelligent questions related to baseball, of course. Otherwise, we're going to delete those questions. And the other thing is, if you like what we're doing here, go ahead and subscribe. And maybe you want to come back again if you like good, intelligent baseball conversation. Or how about this? You want to learn more about baseball than what the books that I read as a child taught us. So, okay, this is the place to come. And my name is Phil S. Dixon. I'm a baseball author, a writer, and researcher, and just an overall person who loves African American history because it is my history and I love telling our stories. So let's go immediately and get to work on tonight's features. And so we're going to go back and start on January the 12th, 1910. Catcher Albert Buster Haywood, actually it's Albert Elliott, and Buster Haywood of the Indianapolis Clowns is born in Portsmouth, Virginia. Yeah, he was a member of the Indianapolis Clowns, as I just said, but also he played with the Miami Ethiopian Clowns in the Denver Post tournament in 1941, and he received a lot of great accolades for his achievements in that tournament. Now, I did get a chance to actually know Buster, and I actually met him in person and went to his house. Chet Brewer took me to his house back in, I want to say maybe this was 86 maybe, out in Los Angeles, and I was out visiting Chet and stayed with Chet at his house, and Chet Brewer. So he took me around to some different places. I remember going to visit Herb Sewell. Herb Sewell, he played, they used to call nickname Baldy Sewell. He took me over to his ex-wife's house, and so we talked to her. A number of different people. Mr. Brewer took me around to meet. So one of them was Buster Haywood, and I listened to them talk, and Buster signed a few things for me. But one thing I remember from that conversation very well, and I can't remember how it ended, but Buster said, "Hey, Chet, did you mention to him that you played an African in one of those Tarzan movies?" And Chet said, "No, I didn't tell him about that." And I was kind of curious about that. So I never found out which Tarzan movie it was, but yeah, out there in one of those Tarzan movies, Chet Brewer played an extra. And the reason I know that is because Buster Haywood actually was the one who brought that up in conversation. So a lot of those guys, they used to try to get work on the lots there, the movie lots during winter league play when they're out there. They would try to do different things just to keep busy. And of course, the ball player who made the most of his visit or his lifestyle on the West Coast would be Edgar Blue Washington, who appeared in maybe 70 motion pictures, sometime under his name, sometime his name wasn't mentioned at all. So I just know Edgar Blue Washington was one of those guys. And I knew, no, I saw a reference in the newspaper that Mule Suttles had appeared in a Mae West movie, I'm No Angel. And many years ago, I went and got that movie and I looked at it as closely as I could. And I do have it on VHS tape, but I never could find Mule Suttles in it. So, guys, I'm always looking for interesting things. All right. So we have somebody joining me here. Let me know where you're joining from. Someone said they're a huge fan. I appreciate having huge fans in here because they know baseball, and you can get engage me in a different way than someone else who doesn't know baseball at all. Let's see, what city are you contacting me from? And this would be, looks like Paul Ruff. I'm not sure you pronounce it. Ruffleo. Let's see. Somebody said that's a sick hat. I guess I guess a sick mean good. This is I got a Jackie Robinson fact today, so I'm going to drop that hat. Well, since you said this is a sick hat, I'm gonna go ahead and give you that Jackie Robinson fact. So I'm gonna jump ahead. How about this? Where is it here? I'm working from a spreadsheet that I've been putting together Man, I started putting this together many years ago, and now it's serving me well. All right, so you ready for this? Jackie Robinson fact, as I got this number 42 hat. Now the number, everything's transposed, so it might look like 24, but backwards 42 or whatever, but it is 42 hat. Okay, so January 12th, 1962, Jackie Robinson is declared eligible for the Hall of Fame selection in Cooperstown, New York. So that means he was actually put on the ballot and people could vote for him. And of course, you know that he became the first African American in the Baseball Hall of Fame at Cooperstown, New York. Yeah. And later on, they would put Satchel Paige in as the second. And that was, I think, 1971, if I'm correct. And so, yeah, just wanted to let you know that. And since you mentioned the hat, all right. So thank you very much. So I am doing very good today and just having a great time talking about these baseball facts. So let me give you another one. I'll give you another one. How about January 12th, 1946? An edition of the Pittsburgh Courier apologized on the sports page for Cumberland Posey, secretary of the Negro National League and co-owner of the Homestead Grays, who due to illness was unable to write a promised article on the important activities of the Negro League. And they had promised that from a week prior, and he was not able to write that article because his physician ordered Posey to stay home and remain in the bed. And of course, Posey, we know now, never rallied, and he passed away on March 28, 1946, of cancer. And he was 55 years old at that particular time. Man, he had a lot of life in him, and he had given his entire life to black athletics, either basketball and also baseball with the Homestead Grays, and also some of the famous teams that he played for in basketball. So yeah, he became one of our ancestors at that date in 1946, and I still respect him to the utmost. And I will also say this too: I had the pleasure of meeting two of his daughters and interviewing them in the past as well. And of course, they are now among the ancestors as well. So yeah, so boy, and I guess my two of the first three examples I gave were from people I know that I was able to interview. Okay. Okay, so somebody said that they're driving from Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh, man, great city. And of course, you know that has Pittsburgh has a legacy with Gus Greenlee there and Cum Posey and the Homestead Grays, Pittsburgh Crawfords, and even before then, going back to the Pittsburgh Giants and Smoky City Giants and that's, you know, we're talking about going way back. Nate Harris was one of their great players. Robert P. Gilkerson started off in Pittsburgh, and he ended up being the legendary owner of the Gilkerson Union Giants. So Robert Gilkerson, he passed away in Spring Valley, Illinois. He actually committed suicide in his case. All right, so let's go to another one. January the 12th, 1950. R.S. Simmons, the general manager of the Chicago American Giants, left for the Mayo Brothers Hospital in Rochester, Minnesota, to have a bullet removed from his neck and to have an important checkup. Turns out that Simmons suffered an accidental gunshot in April of 1949 while the team was playing in and around the city of Shreveport. A rumor staying in the rumor that someone with another room in this, probably a rooming house, staying in the same place as Simmons was cleaning his .32 automatic pistol. And he shot the gun. It went off and went through two walls and struck a chair in the room where Simmons was sitting. And it struck him on the right side, ricocheted, and struck him on the right side of the face, shattering several teeth, splitting his tongue before lodging in the left side of his neck. And Simmons was sitting at his typewriter entering roll reports when the gun was fired. And the doctors came in, and Shreveport doctors decided not to remove the bullet at the time. And so this is the reason why a year later, he's on his way to the Mayo Hospital in Rochester, Minnesota, have that bullet removed, okay? So that's an interesting fact. These are kind of facts you won't get in most places, but this is the kind of thing. I specialize in uniqueness, right? Let me see if I can answer any questions. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if you. Somebody said, "What are the pictures in the background?" Well, these are things that come from my collection over the years, and these are just some that I have posted here in my office as I speak. If you see the one directly above my head, that is the one from the Major League Baseball because I was involved in the merging of the statistics. And that's the thank you there, signed by Rod Manford. Above that one is Joe Green, a catcher for the Kansas City Monarchs, and also the Cleveland Buckeyes, who he signed that for me down in when I went to his home in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Of course, you can see over here, straight up there, that's Babe Ruth there. And the other ones are just posters from when I've made appearances over 42 years. Man, I have the most incredible collection of posters from places that I presented. If you could ever see that, you would find that simply amazing that I've been out here conducting and relating this history for so long. So that's kind of what I'm doing. And so once again, guys, if you like what I'm doing here, don't forget to subscribe. All right. Okay. One of my favorites is Jackie, Babe, or Joe Green. Okay. All right. Most people don't know about Joe Green. Yeah, Joe Green out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. Let me give you another one. I'm going to try to give you some new favorite players. How about this? This guy, outfielder. This goes from January 12th, 1953. So we're kind of moving it up. Outfielder Terry Whitfield, a former Yankees first round pick, is born in Blythe, California. He spent 10 years in the majors, last with the Dodgers in 1986, began his minor league career at age 18 in 1971 and with the Johnson City Yankees in the Appalachian League. Okay, and Whitfield found remarkable success when he moved to Japan. So, and how about this one? In 1981, at age 28, and in his prime, arguably in his prime, he was sold to a team, the Lions, in the Japanese Professional Baseball League. And that move was noticeable because few African American players left for the Japanese leagues at the peak of their career. Usually they got guys who were on the way down. So he's getting there when he's on the way up. And so Whitfield put up excellent high offensive numbers over 3 seasons, helping the Lions to win the Japan Series titles in 92 and 93. And he was a Pacific League All-Star, won 2 Best 9 awards. I guess that's the awards they have there, where he hit 88 documented home runs. So somebody, we don't talk about him much, okay? But these are guys who play modern baseball, and they don't get talked about nearly as much for their achievements. And so if you're a real baseball fan, you might find some of these interesting. How about this one? This guy, born January 12th, 1982. I saw him pitch. I didn't really see Terry Whitfield, but I did see Dontrell Willis. He was born in Oakland, California on this date. He led National League pitchers with 22 wins in 2005 and led National League pitchers in complete games and shutouts that same year. He last pitched for the Cincinnati Reds in 2011, and he is one of only a few modern baseball pitchers to win 20 games and collect 20 hits as a batter in the same season, a feat he accomplished also in 2005. How about this? He hit a grand slam on July 7th, 2006, and he had 2 home runs in a game on September 20th in 2006 off different pitchers. So this guy was a threat. And, you know, in the Negro Leagues, there were lots of good hitting pitchers. I can think about Hilton Smith was a great hitter. Roy Partlow was another really outstanding hitter who was a pitcher. Ed Ryle, Huck Ryle, played for Detroit back in the 20s. He was also another great hitter. Of course, you have people like Martin Diego and Bullet Rogan, who we really know a lot about. But yeah, there were a lot of really good hitting pitchers. Pat Doherty with the Chicago Leland Giants and the Chicago American Giants, he was great. As well was Bill Lindsay. Bill Lindsay out of Lexington, Missouri, was a great hitter. So that he passed away, I think, 1914. But if you go back, you can see that this guy really could put the ball in play, and he's gonna strike you out too when you come up to bat. Yeah. So all right. So somebody's saying, let me know where you're coming in from. Okay. Somebody said, yeah, I wish. Yeah. Somebody said that you put a lot of your life into baseball. Yeah, I really have. I really have because I love the game. One of these days, I'm gonna tell you a story about how I got started and with the whole baseball thing. And come into baseball in different ways, and I have a pretty unique way. Let me jump here. I'm gonna give you two more, and then I'm gonna pretty much get off of here. But I do want you to know this. Um, how about this one? Four-time batting champion Bill Matlock is born in Memphis, Tennessee. Okay, in 2 years, 1975 and 1976, he led the National League in batting with 354 and 339 batting averages for the Cubs. How about this? Then he led with 341, a 341 average in 1981, and a 323 average, both with the Pirates. So that's 81 and 83. So this guy won four batting titles with two different teams. That's pretty unique right there. Okay. He is also the only four-time batting champion who is not enshrined in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Hey, maybe someone can answer why. I look at some of these things, and really the battle that I saw that had to be waged to just get Dick Allen in the Hall of Fame. And then you start to look at other people and you start to wonder why some people are in the Hall of Fame and some people are not. And so Bill Madlock is one, Madlock, that is one that I would wonder why is he not in the Hall of Fame? And Bill, from time to time, has followed my broadcast because one time I put up a date that was wrong, and he made sure that he contacted me and let me know that it was wrong. So I appreciate that, Bill. We've got to straighten it out. We've got it straightened out now. All right. So let me give you one more. And I've never met Bill, but this next ball player I did meet, and he was a pretty good fellow too. His name was Kirby Puckett, and on January the 12th, 1982, Kirby Puckett is selected by the Minnesota Twins as a first round draft pick in the January amateur draft. He led the American League in hits in 1987, from actually 1987 to 1989 with 207, 234, and 210. He was just a good hitter and a really good guy too. We lost him way too early. I remember I used to be the and so no, if you follow this broadcast, some people know this. I was assistant director of public relations with the Kansas City Royals, so I had access to the clubhouse, and the guys would come in and we talk. I talked to the old managers, the coaches. I learned a lot because I would go down and actually talk to people. And a lot of those guys, they would look for me when they came to Kansas City. But Kirby, there was a guy on the team named Al Newman. And Al Newman and Kirby kind of looked alike. And so many times people would mistake Al Newman for Kirby Puckett. That was a real common thing. But one thing that I really remember about Kirby Puckett, at the end of the year, he would bring in the clubhouse boys. He would bring them on the last road trip that they had, and usually this would be the last road trip coming to Kansas City. And there was a shoe store in Kansas City called Bob Jones Shoes. It's closed now, but it had the largest selection of shoes, it, probably in the Midwest. It was a great place. It was off of downtown, and Kirby knew about this place, so he would bring these young kids in, and they would come. And they had been working in the clubhouse, uh, you know, not making much money or whatever. He would bring them in, and he would take them down to Bob Jones and buy them a bunch of shoes, all the shoes they wanted. And that was something Kirby Puckett did. And I don't know why he did that. I know he grew up in Chicago, but he really had a heart for these young kids. And like I said, we lost him way too soon. I will also tell you this: if you're ever down around New Madrid, Missouri, uh, Kirby Puckett's dad actually lived in around New Madrid, Missouri. You probably heard of the New Madrid Fault. Well, there were two famous dads that lived in those areas who moved back there after they got divorces from the ball players' mothers. So one of them was Kirby Puckett's dad, and the other one was Elston Howard's dad. So they lived right around New Madrid. Probably the biggest city around there might be Sikeston, Missouri. Yeah, Sikeston has an interesting history. It was home to one of the last cities where um, modern in modern day where a black person was lynched, Sikeston, Missouri. So yeah, all of this is connected to baseball history. I will also tell you, if you ever get down to Sikeston, they have a baseball park that is still there. And I was speaking in Sikeston years ago, and a guy came up to me and he told me the story about Willie Mays hit a 600-foot home run in Sikeston, Missouri. I said, I've never heard that story before. And he said, yeah, he said, this is one of those folklore stories from that come from these towns. And Willie Mays was there with the Willie Mays All Stars at the end of one season playing in Sikeston, and he hit a ball beyond the fence. And the story goes that they knew how far the fence was, so they got a measuring tape and measured it to where it landed in somebody's front yard. And so it came up to be 600 feet that he hit in Sikeston, Missouri. Now, you won't get this story if you go online. AI doesn't have it, AI doesn't know it, but this is true folklore that comes out of the heart of baseball fans in mid-America. So, guys, that does it for me tonight. My tongue is all tired. It's I'm going to go in here and see who's going to win this football game tonight. That's playing on Monday, a playoff game. So I'm getting ready to go watch that. And so, if you don't have any other questions, I just want to thank you all who join me, even for a brief period. And don't forget to subscribe if you like these broadcasts, if you like this hot stove conversation, especially when there's no baseball this time of year. It's always good to have something or someone good to hear. And if you're like me, I listen to the baseball channel, right? And be honest with you, they're not always the most exciting. They don't bring a lot of new information, and trades are great if you're looking for a certain guy to maybe get picked up by your team, or your team needs somebody. But many people live in places that don't have major league teams, so they just want to love baseball and learn something about the game, maybe some of the games past, and that's where I specialize. So I want to thank you all again. So plan on joining me again tomorrow, and we'll do another segment of this day in Black baseball history. And of course, this has been the January 12th 2026 edition of this ongoing conversation about Black baseball history. Thank you, and I look forward to joining you and talking with you real soon.